This is the video for anxiety. Anxiety is described as an experience of stress, however, in a negative form. Anxiety is mostly caused by the fear of failure in a competitive situation. This fear of failure is otherwise known as attitudophobia and can be often experienced in a sporting situation. For example, during a big occasion for perhaps an athlete, they may be feeling anxious, and due to the negative aspects of their attitudophobia, then performance may be affected. More specifically, John Terry could have experienced this during the Champions League final of 2008, which may have been the major factor of why he missed the penalty. However, the anxiety that John Terry may have been feeling during this occasion can be split up into two types: cognitive and somatic anxiety. Cognitive anxiety is the type that is to do with the mental aspect of the body that is affected by anxiety, to do with the person's thoughts. These can be thoughts like worry, fear, or apprehension or negative evaluation of performance by others, which usually come about prior to perhaps a significant event. For example, if a footballer is shortlisted to take a penalty during a possible shootout and at the end of a game in order to still win the tournament for their team, as they are waiting for their referee to indicate that they can attempt to convert the penalty, they may be experiencing a degree of cognitive anxiety, for instance, emotions like fear or worry, which would reduce their confidence and possibly reduce their chances of being able to convert the scenario. Additionally, the player may visualize the worst possible scenario which could occur, like missing a penalty, as a result of the worry or fear of failure from this form of anxiety. However, unlike somatic anxiety, this type will occur hours before the event, most likely. Will also occur hours before the event. Whereas somatic anxiety regards the physical component of anxiety, which is usually triggered by the cognitive anxiety thoughts of fear and worry of failure. More specifically, this type of anxiety produces symptoms of increased arousal, such as an increase in heart rate and blood pressure. For example, as a football player is about to take a penalty at the end of the game, the physical symptoms of somatic anxiety may occur. Therefore, the player's heart rate would increase, and in turn also increase blood pressure. Although this increase may cause strain on the heart, the working muscles would be able to contract to their best ability, as they would be receiving efficient amounts of oxygen. As a result of this, the player may have a better chance of converting a penalty, as their muscle will be better prepared to contract efficiently. This may not be to generate large amounts of force, but perhaps the specific and efficient amounts of force to portray the technique perfectly. However, along with the cognitive and somatic anxiety, there is a second dimension of anxiety, which regards the stability of anxiety, which can also be broken up into two kinds. These are called trait and state anxiety. Trait anxiety is referring to the natural anxiety levels of an individual, which is only specific to them. However, this form of anxiety is wherein someone dispositions perhaps a normal situation as a threatening one. Also, due to the trait aspect of this form, a person's degree of trait anxiety is relatively stable and consistent throughout their life in most situations. For example, during an experiment where a number of participants were required to take part in a variety of sporting activities, it was indicated that different people possess varying degrees of trait anxiety. This is due to the participants having to record down how anxious each scenario made them feel with a score out of 10. For instance, if someone recorded high scores out of 10 throughout all of these sporting scenarios, then it could be interpreted that they have a high level of trait anxiety. This is because they have shown a consistent level of high natural anxiety, and therefore it could also be stated that they have this disposition, the normal situation, as a threatening one. We can say that these individuals have a high degree of trait anxiety, as they have shown consistent signs of this. Whereas an individual with a low level of trait anxiety may have marked down a low level of scores out of 10 due to the fact that they do not view the situations as threatening ones. Therefore, because they haven't shown any indications of high levels of trait anxiety, the individuals with the low scores can be regarded as possessing a low degree of trait anxiety. Whereas the second dimension of anxiety is referred to as state anxiety. State anxiety is a amount of anxiety portrayed in a given situation by an individual, which is determined by the specific extent of trait anxiety. Similarly to the trait anxiety, each individual has their own degree of state anxiety, whereby some have the ability to remain calm, but others can become extremely stressed. For example, a football player like John Terry during the 2012 Champions League final stepped out to the 2008 Champions League final, stepped out to take a penalty for Chelsea, and during the penalty shootout stage of the game, here it could be said that Derry portrayed a high degree of state anxiety, which may have been determined by the level of trait anxiety. This is because as he slipped and missed the penalty, he went on to show signs of being anxious with actions such as crying. Perhaps in this situation, if Terry was asked to state his anxiety levels out of 10, he would have scored quite highly. This is due to a high pressure that Terry was put under during this scenario, and due to the specific feeling that Terry felt once he had underwent the catastrophe of missing. As a result of this, the sport's performance ability can be poorly impacted in the future. An individual's degree of anxiety across the two dimensions can almost always have a significant impact on an athlete's performance levels. This is due to the two dimensions having an effect on each other. For example, if an individual was to undergo a rise in the extent of someone's trait anxiety, in most anxious scenarios, the state anxiety will also increase or rise in its extent. This is due to the fact that an individual's trait anxiety having the previously mentioned influence on state anxiety. As a result of this, the increase in state anxiety, an athlete's performance can dramatically decline. Whereas, if an athlete has a low or good trait anxiety, they'll be able to cope with the situation and remain calm to in turn stay focused. This will increase their chance of performing at a better standard. They won't be drifting off to focusing on unwanted cues. For instance, using the previously mentioned example, if Terry had a low trait anxiety and therefore a state anxiety during the mentioned example, then the state anxiety during the scenario of the Champions League final shootout may have remained low. Therefore, Terry could remain calm and have a better chance of converting a penalty. Whereas an individual or athlete who has a high degree of state anxiety will also have a decreased chance of performing at a strong ability due to the apprehension or worry they have formed around a situation. Much like other aspects in anxiety, the management techniques are split into two types. These are somatic anxiety and management techniques and cognitive anxiety management techniques. Somatic anxiety management relates to the physical symptoms that is portrayed during an anxious situation, whereas cognitive anxiety management regards the thought process that an individual goes through and the feelings that they experience. However, the reason why these techniques are used to control an individual's anxiety is so that in a circumstance they can allow them to feel more confident to be recreated. As a result of this, the performer can make a usually anxious scenario turn into one where they are focused and therefore increase their chance to perform at their best ability. Somatic anxiety management. The first one is deep breathing, and the technique of deep breathing acts as a somatic anxiety management technique due to the impact it has on heart rate. For example, as an individual takes deep breaths whilst both exhaling and inhaling, their heart rate will be decreased along with their working and muscles being supplied efficient amounts of oxygen. This is also often regarded as following a moment of pause, perhaps an athlete in order to help them focus their attention on relevant cues where composure is regained. However, the deep breathing technique can only be used prior to an event due to the dedication that is needed to carry it out efficiently. During an event, an athlete wouldn't have the time to do this, and therefore the fact that it cannot be done in a moment acts as a disadvantage to the technique. Biofeedback. Biofeedback is where electrical equipment is used in order to provide feedback to an individual. This is usually used when an individual has a particularly high extent of trait or state anxiety. It consists of testing the heart rate, skin temperature, and breathing pattern. Due to this feedback, the person can become aware of what is causing them to be anxious and increase their chance of being able to treat the anxiety. However, the biofeedback process can also not be done in the moment of an event due to the long duration that it takes. Additionally, this kind of management technique is expensive, and consequently normal individuals will have high levels of anxiety are able to use the efficient technique. Cognitive anxiety management. Mental rehearsal. This cognitive management technique is where an individual or athlete visualizes themselves in a scenario which they may find to cause them to be anxious. This would then lead to them hopefully being able to overcome the physiological barriers which may be preventing them from feeling confident about a situation or to be focused. However, once again, it may be hard to do this in the moment due to the duration and commitment that is required. Although perhaps a footballer could use this technique before taking a set piece, in most sporting situations there would be the time to visualise the scenario that is in front of them. Meditation. Finally, meditation is where someone takes time out of their weekly routine to install small time slots where they can meditate. This involves a period of relaxation where negative thoughts can be cleared around performance scenarios. However, much like other techniques, this cannot be done to an efficient level during perhaps a match, whereas the high pace and intensity eradicates the time for this to occur. Therefore, this acts as a disadvantage towards their meditation.